This is Flipping the Script podcast, the soon-to-be #1 leadership podcast for purpose-driven leaders and great guest experts who give us a unique insight into what leadership looks like behind the scenes. I'm Shalia Stafford, your host, and I'm committed to helping you lead your challenges using leadership strategies to gain new perspectives, fuel your growth, and transform the way you execute on your success. Hello, you adventurous human being leading your story behind the title. It's Shalia here. I see you building a foundation of healthy strategies to bring to life what matters most to you. And look, I get it. You're a big picture thinker and you want to make it count. So one of the questions that we find ourselves asking ourselves is how can we prepare now to experience life more intentionally in the future? How do we gain the options? How do we bring reality into our dreams to address some of the challenges and the fears that we know will arise within our journey? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, while we want to go on the big adventures, it's also the little adventures that are happening every day that provide us with the most significant impact. So how can we silence the world around us to listen to the call of our next adventure? For a deeper connection with our essence, our peace, the simplicity of our day-to-day that allows our light to shine bright. We go after freedom. The freedom to create our story. The freedom to experience life authentically. The freedom to have options. But you don't get it at every single point. There are sacrifices that we have to make, and it all depends on our environment and a few other factors. Sometimes it can feel like this is more of a performance out of a storybook than us actually creating our own story. And I get it. Truth be told, I believe in the magic of life and the reality of hard truths coexisting at the same time. And because of that, I want us to tackle one of the core areas that can and will create challenges throughout your journey. And this is going to look a little bit different for everyone. But we're going to be exploring finances, specifically around knowing our numbers for cost of living and how that can create challenges in the options that we take and the stories that we create. It all ties back to what story you are creating today, your operating system, and the experiences that you want to have during this longest time span of your life, which is between the age of 18 to 65. There's so much that we're doing in this timeline. We're leaving our imprint in the world through our work. We're creating new relationships through the families that we create, the families that we have, the families that we adopt, the relationships that we make, and the relationship with ourselves that we become closer to understanding. We're still growing up. Nobody has it figured out. Everybody creates mistakes and everybody has challenges. While they're unique to everyone, what's important is for you to understand what is the playing field that you are standing on. What does that playing field require of you today? And how can you start planting seeds for the experiences that you know are going to still be part of your future? And now, a quick word from our sponsor. Okay, along this journey of creating a conscious impact, it's really important for me to find foods that are wholesome, that fuel our body in the best possible way. And in that journey, I got introduced to oat milk. And let me tell you, I was not too happy with some of the varieties that I was trying in the store. They didn't taste like the oat milk that I loved making at home. I had an opportunity to try Willa's oat milk at Willa's Kitchen, and let me tell you, smooth and velvety. Tasted delicious with our espresso that we make every day, and even better, it fueled my day in the way that I needed to. Let me share a little bit more about their company. Willa's was founded by two sisters who were tired of plant-based milks that were mostly made up of artificial, highly processed ingredients and loads of sugar rather than actual plants. Plus, their grandmother Willa's recipe used real organic ingredients to create a deliciously smooth oat milk. And they thought, why not bring hers to the world instead? As they started on their entrepreneurial journey, they kept learning more and more about the way plant-based milks are normally made. Heavy processing, loads of food waste, and lots of funny business, including ingredients like rapeseed, canola oil that they didn't want to be drinking or feeding their kids every day. The biggest shocker that they found was that oat milk is typically made with oat sugar, and the best parts of the oats are filtered out. That resulted in oat milk with a super sweet taste, but without all the benefits of the oats. Willa's is made with the whole entire oat, which gives it a rich, smooth taste and maintains all the oat's proteins and prebiotic fiber and makes Willa's zero food waste. And it's not just a healthier, more sustainable oat milk, it's super tasty. That's why Willa's has been highlighted in Bon Appetit not once, but 3 times. Find Willa's oat milk at willaskitchen.com. That's WILLASKITCHEN.com or on Amazon. And with the promo code LEADERSHIP, to get 20% off and support the podcast. That's promo code LEADERSHIP to get 20% off. So it's imperative that we take some time to assess where you stand financially and work towards filling those gaps because, again, that freedom that we seek in creating our stories requires trade-offs and sacrifices. When we position ourselves to meet those sacrifices, we lessen their impact and give them purpose and further increase our ability to get through them. I'm going to give you a few tips on what you can do today to start getting a better idea of your financial picture and understanding how that ties back to your story. I'm fortunate to have kids because I get to re-educate myself continuously through how-to books that are targeted for kids that simplifies the language that can be complex in the world of finances. But hey, there are so many great organizations out there that are providing guidance and strategies for you to plug and play your adventure. This is food for thought, and it's meant to help you continue to expound this topic. I urge you to look for the experts around this area and to dive deep into what finances look like for you. You will hear so many stories of triumph, courage, and success that will leave you feeling FOMO or leave you with this insatiable desire to quit your job, buy the plane ticket, explore the world. And I, more than anyone, want you to explore the adventure that helps you create your story and the experiences that bring it to life. But we need to address the elephant in the room. Everyone comes from a different environment and playing field. Yes, we all have an opportunity to take our shot at creating what matters to us. And while the challenges are immensely different, here's one that's pretty concrete for us to wrap our hands around. Money. Money for cost of living. Money is more than you think and not everything you think. We don't need to become millionaires today in order to have the life that we want. We need to understand how much is enough for today and how do we secure the future of tomorrow. How can we get creative with our time? And how do we push through the sacrifices that we have to make in order to have some of the freedoms that we want? So let's jump in with understanding our cost of living. We need to have a data point. And so the question that I have for you is, do you know the total number per year of your actual spending, where all your money goes? Think about that for a second. Most of us have an idea of how much we spend on a month-to-month basis, how much rent is, utilities. Yeah, we go out maybe 2 or 3 times a week or maybe 2 or 3 times a month. You have a Netflix account. You probably have Amazon Prime. You may do the numbers loosely in your head. Some of us may have incredibly detailed spreadsheets on what this looks like. There is no right or wrong way, but you do need to have this number, and it does need to be an actual versus budgeted. And to hold yourself accountable to what life is going to look like for you, you need to know where are you prioritizing where your money goes out, actually. And I say this because I've been down this rabbit hole myself. So what is your total number per year? When you factor in mortgage, rent, utilities, Starbucks, Amazon, Walmart, Target, alcohol, going out, gifts, vacations, your co-pays, your deductibles, anything and everything that you can think about that you can potentially track and hold yourself accountable to. When you add those numbers up, are you at $40,000 a year to live where you are now comfortably? Or do you want to throw in an extra, $5,000 to $10,000 to account for those vacations that you love to take? Because in all fairness, if that's the life that you love, then that's the life that you should plan for. But we need to see the numbers in front of us. Because what if an opportunity arises where we can take on an additional project, where we can do some sort of side hustle, where we can expand a skill And maybe it only pays out $5,000, but those $5,000 cover your trips for that year. Or maybe that $5,000 covers your internet and water bill for the year. We can't begin applying that kind of logic until we understand what is our number. Your cost of living is going to vary depending upon the stage that you find yourself in life, your debt, your income, and where we all started in this journey of finances. Knowing this number is critical to help you plan the options that you have and better understand the risk that you can take in life and in your career. Remember, everyone's journey is unique and so is your number. As someone who is working on breaking the cycle to create generational wealth and health, I can tell you that my focus with money in the beginning of my journey, when I first started working, was rooted on the surface level. My main goal was to quickly produce results, gain promotions, and make more money. And while I did accomplish this goal, I mistakenly attributed my six-figure salary to the end goal of success. And as long as I had the salary, I was breaking the cycle and creating generational wealth, right? Wrong. Go figure. While I was making more money, I still had a mindset that was stuck in the poverty cycle. While I looked like I was breaking the generational cycle, and I had all of the facade things around me, the truth was I was looking at everything in a very short-term picture. Our investments were limited. I wasn't optimizing our finances and how we could prioritize based on the life that we wanted. I wasn't having conversations with our kids about how we were spending budgets, investment opportunities, and the sacrifices that come with whatever we choose to go after. I had yet to learn that there was more to this way of life. So this was an opportunity to learn more about the gaps that I had left to fill in my journey. And let me tell you, it feels and it felt for me, I'm going to speak on my personal experience. The shoulds kicked in. I should have known better. Of course, I fell for that trap. The confirmation biases that I won't be able to figure it out in this world and I won't be able to break the cycle were starting to come back in, and the limited beliefs telling me that if only I would have focused more on the bigger picture, if only I would have read more books, if only I would have had more mentors, if only, and it anchors and it weighs me down. And it took me a few days to get through that. And finally, I realized that I needed to challenge my ego. And at the end of the day, this is what it looks like to break the cycle. And we all come to these realizations at different points of our lives. And it was such an opportunity for me to have this aha moment. And I knew that if I was having this moment, that there were other people who were probably having it as well. And that the shame and the guilt that I felt weren't serving me, and that I had to challenge my ego. And so on I went. I went to the library and I checked out every single book that taught financial literacy to children. And I began reading them to my kids. And I began exploring through the questions that they were curious about. And this was an opportunity for me to learn more about the gaps that I had left to fill in my journey because of the limited experiences that I had in regards to money growing up. I was taught to place value on simply a salary total and what that would equate to. It gave me a false signal of success. And eventually, I got to a point in life where I realized that I wasn't experiencing life the way that I wanted to, the way that it felt authentic. I thought this was supposed to be the mile marker of success, but I knew that there was more. And this very uncomfortable feeling that I allowed myself to explore, that I allowed myself to feel disdain over, and eventually challenge my ego, opened the door for me to have some great conversations with my kids about budgets, about needs versus wants, about business opportunities, about work. And today I can say that my children went on to become investors. Not only have they saved their money to invest, my oldest has invested in the stock market way before I ever did or even came to understand it. My youngest started a business along with his older brother. They've done marketing commercials. They've taken it to business fairs. Oh my goodness, they have challenged so many aspects of the experiences in the life that they want to create. And it wouldn't have been possible if I didn't give myself that space to feel upset about what I had left to learn and what I should have learned, and to challenge my ego to feel the awkwardness and the uncomfortableness of asking people, so how does this work? Tell me again. No, tell me one more time. And we're not done with our journey, but it is evolving. I want to share a quote with you from a book that I absolutely love and highly encourage you guys to read for yourself. It is called The Next Millionaire Next Door. by Thomas J. Stanley and Sarah Stanley. In their book, they make a distinction that wealth is not income and income is not wealth. Income is what you bring home today. Wealth is what you have tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Let me give you a little example. Somebody makes $100,000. They run through their budget. They start to track their expenses for the past year. They're able to add up all of their restaurant visits, all of their Target visits, their car payments, their student loans, their debt payments. Let's assume they have children, daycare costs, health insurance costs, their mortgage, their utilities, their subscriptions, alcohol, vacation, birthday funds, everything, tracking it down as best as they can because this is the first time that they're doing it and they want to better understand how is their money going in and out. And the shocking truth that they have is that their cost of living a year is $90,000 and they make $100,000. So if they continue to spend at that same rate every year and they hold themselves accountable to it, that means that they should materialize $10,000 in savings if they're tracking everything accordingly at the end of the year. $10,000, if nothing else changes, times 5 is $50,000 after 5 years. Okay, so then we have someone else who's making $50,000 a year, but their cost of living is $30,000. Let's say they still live with their parents. They're renting out a bedroom that's cheaper somewhere. They don't have children, but they're making less money. With their cost of living being $30,000, that means that they have $20,000 at the end of the year that they should be materializing. $20,000 times 5 years is $100,000. Who makes more? Now, one could argue that the people who are making $100,000 are experiencing life differently, and that's the life that they choose. So be it. It could be. We don't know. We don't know, and that's why it's so important for you to understand what kind of life you want and what kind of sacrifices you're willing to make for the values that you have and the life that you want to create, because there are always sacrifices to anything that we want. Throughout my journey of breaking the cycle, I have worked jobs that I didn't always love, that weren't tied directly to my passion. I have taken on extra projects that interfered with work and family life balance because that's what it took in order for me to get to the next level of what I felt was necessary at the time in order to give us options to continue to break the cycle. Now, life eventually evolved and that didn't always stay the same for me. With the more risk that I took in taking on experiences that challenged my ego and served my growth, I earned and gained more options for that. And some people may not even have to do that. That's their story. It's their experience. The goal is not to compare yourself to someone else's lane. It's to know how yours is clearly defined, where it starts and where it ends, and to go after what is true to you and to be willing to meet those sacrifices along in our journey. It doesn't take a lot of money to create the life that you want. It takes a prioritization of your time and your money. It takes us negotiating with what matters most to us. It requires that we negotiate with the sacrifices so that we can meet them when they arrive, reduce their impact, and give them purpose. And now, a quick word from our sponsor. You know those days when your coffee shop is out of cold brew and your air conditioner breaks and you try to go to the beach, but there's 0 parking spots? Yeah, life can be hard. Good thing MeUndies is here to help you take a break from the hardships of the world and give yourself a soft summer. When you're cocooned in the softest and most breathable undies, loungewear, and swimwear known to humanity, all your other problems will simply melt away. Look, let's be honest. We all have to wear underwear. No judgment if you don't. I recently tried a selection of items from MeUndies, and let me tell you, their bralettes, undies, and bathing suits delivered. It was nice to have bralettes to help me get through my workouts, and I'm hoping you are enjoying bathing suits to get through these hot summer days. Not only were they incredibly soft to wear, but they were also fun. Let's face it, Summer is sweaty, but your butt doesn't have to be. With MeUndies light and breathable micro modal fabric, you can stay comfy and cool all summer long. They have super fun seasonal prints and tons of styles to choose from, in sizes extra small through 4XL. So you can bring the beach to your butt without ever leaving your living room. If you dare to brave the heat and venture to the pool or beach, check out their new and improved swimwear styles. They're soft, stretchy, and sustainably made. Make it a soft summer with MeUndies. MeUndies has a great offer for my listeners. For any first-time purchasers, you get 15% off. If you sign up for their free-to-join membership, you can apply that 15% off to their already discounted membership prices. To get 15% off your order and 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to MeUndies.com/leadership. That's MeUndies.com/leadership. There's so many creative ways to create a life that you want, but we need to understand, how much does the life that we have right now cost us? Are there things that we really don't care too much about that we can let go of and put those budgets into other places? Soon enough in my journey, I learned about the financial independence world and Mr. Money Mustache after devouring so many hours of Dave Ramsey. You've heard me interview a few people on the podcast that come from the perspective of the financial independence movement or from the financial advice from Mr. Money Mustache. Two great different strategies for how to plug and play with your cost of living and how to get creative with creating the life that you want. We have to be sure that whatever strategies that we look for, whatever advice that we get, align back to our stories and the experience and the impact that we want to have. What risk can you take today? Where can you cut out from your budget? How can you prioritize the things that are important? If you like to go on vacation twice a year, create a budget line item for that. So ultimately, what you'll be able to know is that number. The number that it takes to keep up with your cost of living. What is your number to afford the life you have today? And then also take out some of the areas that are optional. And then look at your very baseline number. If you lost a job or if you wanted to take some time off and you maybe don't need Amazon Prime, maybe you don't need Starbucks 5 times a day, I'm speaking on my own experience, then you can take out those budget line items and look at the core of what it takes to live while taking some additional risk. The goal with many of these financial strategies that I've talked about today with the financial independence movement, which is also known as Choose FIRE, and Mr. Money Mustache strategies, is to shift your perspective around money and life and to think about what is most important to you and create a life where you eventually don't have to depend on a 9-to-5. And ultimately, how do you increase your options? By resetting your priorities, investing your money, and living below your means. Your cost of living accounts for the number of what's required to live your life as it is currently. And again, most of us have a ballpark figure, but it's not enough to just know that ballpark figure. I'm challenging you today to look at your bank statements. If you haven't already, create a budget. Think about every time you go to the store, what are the typical stores that you go to? Is there a line item budgeted for it? Doing this exercise will reveal spending habits that need work or ones that are going really great. If you're anything like me, when I first started diving into tracking our numbers, I was shocked at where our money was going. We weren't by any means being irresponsible, but the number that we estimated in our head compared to what we were tracking for money that was already spent was far more than what we expected. We justified this by how busy our lives were, and we thought that a few dollars here and there weren't making a grand difference. If anything, they were helping us continue to fuel the career that we had. But in reality, we weren't experiencing life the way we wanted. We were burning out. We were overwhelmed. And we were thinking that there wasn't enough time and options in order for us to expound from where we were at. But there were so many more options. This exercise to track our actual spend and total it up was an eye-opening exercise to gain awareness on the realistic decisions that we needed to make to move forward with how we wanted to experience life. We began increasing our savings rate and realized that we weren't prioritizing the experiences that matter to us, and began creating line items within our budget. So another opportunity that we had to look at when we did this exercise to track our actual spending and determine what our cost of living number was for us as a family of 4, we then went in to look at what was our savings rate. Your savings rate tells you what percentage of your income you're saving, which now then becomes your wealth. And we realized that we could be doing a lot better than what we actually were in order to secure our future and our working years, that we could make our money work for us today by cutting out some things that weren't that important to us and restructuring them on our budget. Most financial advice out there traditionally will tell you to save anywhere between 3 to 7% of your income a year. And so what that looks like is, again, let's say you're making $50,000 a year. Out of those $50,000 a year, they would say to save 3 to 7% of that. What you do with that savings is, obviously you could put that into businesses, side hustles, investments. We do investments. But the more that you have staying with you and making it work for you, the more you increase your wealth. There are some very savvy and frugal people who I admire who are saving between 50 to 75% of their income. And get this, they're able to retire within 10 to 15 years. Because retirement is not an age, it's a financial number. And by retirement, I don't mean you start sewing and gardening. I love gardening. Okay. I love taking the fruits of the work of my husband gardening. But retirement means you now have the options to do and explore other avenues that are important to you. And you're not tied to that 9 to 5, and you have what is also known as FU money. Your savings rate is the single best predictor of your financial trajectory and your timeline to reaching your financial independence. I challenge you, as you are figuring out what your life currently costs you to live, look at your take-home pay, subtract your cost of living, and then ask yourself, what is my savings rate? Am I materializing the money that I should have left over from that equation? Take-home pay minus cost of living equals X amount. Is that X amount being reinvested, or does it disappear and you don't see it? And if it does, it's okay. Wherever you are in this journey, it is okay. This is a judgment-free zone and an opportunity to find more opportunities. So no, don't quit your job. So here's what I urge you to do. I urge you to be courageous and to go after the adventure of understanding what your cost of living number is, creating a budget and prioritizing not only your fixed expenses, but also your variable expenses that matter to you, and reprioritize where finances are going to the life that you want to experience. Remember, income does not equal wealth. How much of your income do you keep after subtracting your cost of living? And how much of that income can you make work for you? And remember, there are so many strategies out there where you can plug and play to the one that feels the most strategic to you, to wherever you find yourself in life. And later, as life evolves, so can your money strategy. Continue to develop the skills around your finances, even if you have to start with children's books and you have to ask the same questions over and over. Understanding our stories isn't as simple as writing our mission statement down and proclaiming a vision. We have to question our baseline of financial literacy and challenge it against the experience that we want to have in life through the story that we create. Understanding our life experiences around money can help give us insight into why we do what we do today with money, and also create the bridge for the next involvement in your financial literacy journey. I don't know about you, but the older that I get, the faster it feels that time escapes from under me, and before I know it, another year has gone by. Even more so recently following COVID, it feels as though we went into a time machine, hit the fast forward button, and came out in the future. And now more than ever, I'm on a mission to bring to life the experiences that is authentic to me, alongside the sacrifices that I have to make, the challenges that I'm going to have to endure, because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. This is your reminder to check your finances because they are a part of your story. And it doesn't matter if you're in extreme debt or well into being into your financial independence journey. We all start somewhere, and we all have a baseline of data that will inform our direction along with our values. I triple dog dare you to never stop dreaming and to incorporate strategic reality within those dreams throughout the ebbs and flow in life and within the wisdom of daily rituals. Filter out the noise of distractions that show up in your life, opinions of others that aren't valued because they're not constructive, and be aware of your ego that's trying to protect you in ways that no longer serve your growth. Go get consciously awkward, fail forward, and celebrate the achievement of creating your story courageously within the rawness of this human experience. Remember, the universe conspires to make you amazing. To our listeners, the ball is in your court. I challenge you to take action, continue the raw conversations, and reach out to us to partner with us in your journey. You are listening to Flipping the Script, Leadership Beyond the Title. We'll see you on our next episode. If you found even the smallest nugget of wisdom in this episode, share it with a friend and your friend will thank you. Let's continue the conversation with like-minded leaders and join us on Facebook at Go Flip the Script. Until next time, I challenge you to incorporate what you learned today to evolve your leadership impact.